Hey guys, it's going to be a quick look at my process on how I prep my work for the RIP software using Photoshop. I like to have as much of my work done prior to sending it to the RIP, and by the time I get it there, I just want to hit print or resize it to where I want it and hit print. So that being said, let's jump into it. Okay, the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to select a new document, and for me, Control N is going to bring that up for me. And I'm speaking for Windows. I'm hoping that if you have a Mac, you know that's Command where I say Control. So Control N, bring up a new document. I'm sized to where I want to be. My resolution is 300. I'm running my color mode is CMYK, and for this image, it's going to be black. So I'm already set to that, so I want to hit create. And now that I have it created, everything, my document is here with the black background. Now I want to bring in my image. Again, this is an image. I haven't done anything to it. It's just something straight off the internet. So what I want to do is hit File, and I like to use Place Embedded. I'm going to browse to that folder, which I'm already inside the folder, and here's the artwork right here. Okay, so now I want to grab one of these handles, and I'm going to hit Shift, and you want to make sure, I can't think of this content, I can't remember what it's called, but you want to grab one of these, you want to make sure that's checked, and you want to drag it out to, I'm sorry, okay, you want to make sure that this is selected, and you want to hold Alt and grab a handle and just drag it out, and it's going to open up proportionately. Alright, when you have it where you want, you just hit the check mark, and now my image is in place and the size to where I want it at. So from here, I like to remove, well, I'm just going to hide the background by checking his eye, and I'm going to duplicate my main piece of my artwork by hitting Control, by selecting it and hitting Control J, and that'll duplicate it. Now that I have that duplicated, I'm going to turn that one off. I'm going to hide it, and I'm going to come back up to the copied version, and I'm going to rename it. And it's always good to name your layers, and that's going to be main. Alright, and I also want to rasterize this layer, and I'm going to do that by right clicking and hitting rasterize layer. Okay, now that that's done, the next thing I want to do is remove this background, okay, the black background, and let me say that differently. Now I'm going to remove the black. I have black all. You have black all in this document. It's inside of here, just everywhere. You have it on the outskirts or outside. There's a way to remove all that with one click or 2 clicks. The way to do that is you want to select the magic wand tool, or you want to select the magic wand tool. My tolerance is pretty high for this. There shouldn't be. I really don't normally run it that high, but for this example, it doesn't really make a difference. But what does make a difference, this contiguous right here, you want to make sure that contiguous is checked. And when you have that, I'm sorry, it was unchecked. When this is unchecked, it's going to remove, it's going to select all of whatever color you select. Is going to select all of it. In this case, I'm going to select black, and all the black is selected. And at this point, all I need to do is hit delete on my keyboard, and the black is removed. So essentially, this is a version of the Knock Me blackout inside the RIP. I think this works a little bit better for me. Don't know why, but it does work a little bit better for me. And at this point, to be honest with you, this piece is done. I can send it to save it and send it to the rip and just hit print if I wanted to. But I kind of like to take things a little bit further with mine. And what I like to do is I'm going to, and this is more for an example just to show you, if this was solid, that would really make a difference. This one piece right here, this red, was all solid. That would be a little too much just to send like that, because that's gonna it's gonna be it's gonna not gonna have a lot of breathability in it, and it's going to eventually cause problems with cracking, and just not, the image wouldn't hold up well over time. But in a normal situation, I would probably add some what's called transparency to this area right here, so that when I send it to the rip, it's going to rasterize that one section right there with, in my case, with small holes. Which I'm going to do that by, I'm going to do it the same way with using the magic wand tool, but this time I'm going to check contiguous, because the only red that I want to be selected is this red in here. So now we hit, I clicked on it and it selected that red. And now what I want to do is I want to duplicate this layer, this red layer. So hit Control J again. Now I have just this red part of the mask, a new layer for just that red part of the mask, and I'm gonna label that red mask. Alright, so now I also want to do something else. I'm gonna turn the whole thing off, turn the main off, and now all I have is this red, and I'm going to add some transparency, some transparency to it. To do that, I'm going to come right here with this layer selected. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to move it down to 95%. 95%. And I don't know if you guys can see how it changed. You can actually partially see through it. I'll open this up for you. You should be able to see through it and see some of that background. I'll actually take it down a little bit more so you can see it better. So as I take it down, you see the transparency becoming more visible. I'm going to take it back up to 95 because that's where I like to keep mine. Alright, so from here, now I have that piece selected. Now I'm going to bring this back. When I brought this main back, you'll see that the transparency went away. Well, that's because the transparency layer for the red is still there. I have to remove that. I'm going to turn off the red mask, and I don't necessarily have to, but I want you to see it what's going to happen here. So I have the main selected, and now I'm going to select this red again. And now with that red selected, I'm going to hit delete, and now that removes that red. To get rid of the marching ants, I'm going to go Control D. Now that shows you this main image with no red mask. It's been removed, but we do have the red mask that we created with the partial transparency that we bring back, and now we have it. Whereas this whole image is, everything in here is going to be solid with no transparency, but this red is going to have a little transparency, whereas this one little area in here is where we're going to get some rasterization in from inside the rip. So at this point, again, we could be finished, but I still like to take it a step further. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to merge these two layers by selecting both of them and merging layers. So now those layers are merged, and at this point I can go ahead and remove these, but I'm just gonna remove this one for now. Just highlight it and click delete. So I'm gonna bring this black back in, and again it looks really good at this point. But like I said, we're going to take it a step further. We're going to come up here and I'm going to select that layer again, and now I'm going to hit image and adjustments, and I'm going to add some saturation to it, get those colors popping. So we're going to bump that up. I'm going to probably bump it up to about a 10. Okay, and I don't know if you noticed, but those colors started to come in, and it looks pretty good at this point. But again, one more thing, I'm going to come back in here, adjustments, levels, and I'm going to turn this brightness down, or darken it up a little bit. And as I darken it, you should see these colors really start to pop. Look at those colors really start to pop at this point. Okay, so right there, this is where I wanted it. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm sorry, excuse me. And the image is ready. So I'm going to turn off this background, and because we don't want to import it with the background, because if we do, we're going to print that whole background, or we got to go in and we got to do knock me out black to get that background out. So at this point, like I said, we turned the background off, and just for document size, we'll go ahead and delete that extra layer, and now we can save. I exported as a PNG. Okay, when we get to this point, all we have to do is hit export again. Everything is all your